My name is Michael Bryan. I'm the Lakeville Fire Chief, and I am here today to give you a quick tour of the fire station and provide you with some awareness of how this fire station helps us operate as a fire department. So we're standing in our admin space of the Lakeville Fire Department, and this area is actually in the town hall. It's remote from where the fire department or the rest of the firefighters stage for calls. And so we lack any real situational awareness as to what's going on down there, unless they call us by radio as if we were, staged elsewhere in the town, or they call us on our phones. We can't hear alarms, we can't hear any communications down there. We're just not aware of what's going on there because we don't have a PA system and there's no intercom system in the building. So here we are at the front of the fire station. This is actually our front desk. This is where the public comes into the building if they need any help with permits or assistance with any kind of fire department services that we provide. And you'll notice that I'm standing in a very narrow door. We are not ADA compliant. There's no way for someone with a wheelchair or a walker to safely navigate the space and get to our front desk. We wouldn't know if you were out here because there's no intercom system. We're here in the communication center of the Lakeville Fire Department. This is where we receive alarms and we're alerted to calls from our dispatch center, our PSAP, which is located at the police station. As you can tell, it's a very antiquated equipment. We're looking at tens and tens of thousands of dollars to upgrade and replace. Generally, it's easier for us to accomplish upgrades by making this part of a larger fire station project. It's usually integrated with paging systems, intercom systems, all kinds of technology that enables us to respond to calls with fewer mistakes and with faster responses. So a new building would be an opportunity to really fine-tune our services for the town. Usually what happens in most communities is when a 911 call comes in or a fire alarm call comes in, there's a notifying system which turns on all the lights, the speakers come up, and they tell us everything we need to know about the call. Everybody gets out very efficiently and goes to the vehicles, and out the door we go. But we don't have that here, so we have to have somebody positioned next to our communications equipment. And this is where they sleep at night. We have 5 females who work for the Lakeville Fire Department. They have very little privacy when they have to sleep here in this bed. People walk in and out of the room to take care of their business. So obviously this is an issue from an administrative point of view. I'm not able to provide my female firefighters with any type of privacy whatsoever. We're down in the living area of the fire department. Over on my right over here is our gear storage. We know that there are carcinogens here. We know there are biohazards in that room. Things that we've brought back from fires and from dirty medicals or maybe even traumatic scenes. We brought that back into the building. It's the nature of our work. In a modern fire station, this area would be isolated from our living quarters. We would use positive pressure, air, to keep contaminants out, airborne particles out of our living space. And when our firefighters make it into our living space, they would have been deconned, they would have been showered, they would have been changed out of their uniforms, they'd be in fresh uniforms. And in that way, we can keep their living space clear of all these contaminants and these carcinogens, these biohazards. And this is the way we keep them safe and allow them to live long, healthy lives. As some of our viewers might be aware, cancer is the leading cause of death for firefighters. We are much more likely to be diagnosed with cancer, and we're much more likely to die of cancer than the rest of the population. We're standing in our living quarters right now. Behind me is our best effort to provide some privacy to our mixed gender population, our mixed gender firefighting staff. It's not ideal, and we have fewer bunks than people on duty, so we still have people sleeping out in common areas on the floor out there or in these chairs. So we've hit the capacity of this facility. To my right, you'll see our dining table, our meeting table, our patient treatment area. We have walk-in medicals on a weekly basis, and we're often providing medical care right in this room. And again, I've spoken to you about contamination. This is where people try and eat their dinners, and we have people who are physically ill due to medical emergencies. They've been injured, they might be bleeding, and now we're treating them at our dinner table. These gentlemen are doing reports, patient care reports, things of that nature. And these computers are not considered clean. They've been in people's homes, they've been in emergency rooms, they've been at accident scenes, and now they are also sitting on our dinner table. And what we have is living space that is essentially not clean and contaminated, and exposes our firefighters to increased levels of risk. So if you talk to any fire chief, one thing they'll complain about, even in newer fire stations, is the lack of storage. We have to keep a ton of supplies on hand. You've probably seen shortages in the news about different medications and different medical supplies. So one of the ways we combat that is we keep a lot of stock on hand. We're not able to do that here in Lakeville. If you're looking at our EMS supply room, is adjacent to our contaminated gear storage space with no barrier. So as much as we try to keep our EMS equipment sterile and safe, there's always the possibility of cross-contamination, which we try to avoid. We also have a problem with ventilation in this room. We've had to add dehumidifiers and heaters and things like that to inhibit mold growth. We've had several occasions where we've had to mitigate this room or treat this room for mold. So this is not exactly the ideal spot for your EMS supply storage.
These are some of the medications that we store in there, and they're supposed to be kept within a particular temperature range. And this is a log of the different time of days and what the temperature was in there and how out of range those medications were being kept.
We're standing in our gear storage area, and even in a new fire station, this would be considered contaminated space. But unfortunately, due to our lack of space and lack of storage, we have firefighters who store their uniforms in here, their undergarments, their shampoo, their soaps, all their toiletries, and they even store their food in here. It's really a bad situation, but it's out of necessity. We don't really have any other space for them to put any of this stuff. And again, we're talking about gear that's been at messy car accidents, gear that's been in fires, and gear that we lack the capacity to clean in a timely manner. It takes us 2, 3, 4 days to be able to clean all the gear that we need to clean because of the facilities we have at this building. I'm standing right next to our gear dryer, and one of the things that we've mentioned a couple times is that we have contaminated gear because of our inability to properly decontaminate our gear. And this is one of the tools that we would use to dry our gear after it's been contaminated. This machine is more than 10 years old. It takes several days for it to actually dry gear. It was never installed properly, and it actually vents into the building. So when it does remove contaminants or as it dries the gear off gases into the building. So it actually makes things worse by making everything that was on the gear airborne now. So we're standing in the apparatus stalls now, and one of the things that we're trying to accomplish with the new building is to be able to get out the door quicker. And if we get out the door quicker, we know we're going to save more lives and protect more property. That's why we're building a fire station, to save lives, protect property. We will be able to do a better job of it if we had a better facility. The vehicles and how they're positioned are a problem. Over to my left is the department's forestry vehicle. It's called a breaker, and it's up against the wall so tight that nobody can get in the vehicle on the passenger side. The vehicle has to be removed from the building, and then the additional responders will pile into the building after that. Not exactly efficient. And behind me is one of our 2 boats, and as you can see, it doesn't point to an egress. It doesn't have a stall. So if we get a boat call right now, we have to remove one of these pieces of apparatus out of the building, and by hand push and shove this boat to one of the openings, and then hitch the pickup truck to it. So if you have somebody out, they've capsized their boat, they've capsized their kayak out in Long Pond, the last thing in the world we should be doing is fiddling around with apparatus and trucks and doing the shuffle while somebody's hanging on to life in a pond. This is not ideal, but it's a perfect example of what we're trying to correct with the new building. We're still in the apparatus stalls. I'm standing next to 2 of our fire engines, and I'm standing next to 2 of our ambulances. And you will notice that if we have a fire right now, our firefighters are not going to go straight to their fire engines. They're going to go to these ambulances, and they're going to have to pull them out of the way. They're going to pull them out of the way at a slow pace because the dimensions of our stalls require us to be extra careful and not crash into the building. We have to ease out of the building, go slow. We have to go park these ambulances out of the way and then run back into the station, jump in our fire trucks, and then ease our fire trucks out of the building because we don't want to crash into the side of the building and not make the scene. We want to be able to respond, so we have to be careful. And once we've extricated these fire trucks from this fire station, then we respond to the scene. So time matters, time is property, time is lives, and this again is what we're trying to correct with the new fire station. It's about saving lives, it's about improving our performance, and that's what we're trying to do. We just talked about the clearance, the dimensions of our stalls, and how it slows our apparatus down getting out of the building. I'm standing next to our tower ladder. This tower ladder dimensionally is more narrow and shorter than our previous one. So this truck is actually easier to get out of the building than the previous one. But it's still, as you can see, a tight fit. And so we've had 13 documented collisions between Lakeville fire trucks in this building in the last 5 years. So 13 collisions. That's 13 collisions where our apparatus had to be repaired, and we had to make insurance claims. They lost time in service. Again, when fire trucks are not available to you, they can't protect you, they can't help you. This is a public safety issue, and it is one that we're going to try and correct with our next building. I know I probably look pretty silly right now, but I just wanted to make you aware of the dimensions of the building and how we have to basically place our apparatus into the building, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. And can you imagine the pressure on the firefighter that has to back this vehicle and not crash into the back of the fire station and cause damage to the building? Down on the ground right here is a red mark, and this mark is basically tells our drivers when they can start turning after exiting the building. The stalls are so tight in the dimensions of the parking, the front ramp are such that our drivers are at high risk to either collide with the building or drive up on the grass. Either way, they would damage the vehicle, they would damage the building, and they would not be able to respond to a fire scene or a medical or a car accident. Well, it's not my job to speak on behalf of town hall employees. I can tell you that not all of them are happy about sharing a building with the firefighters. We tend to be boisterous, we tend to have a good time, and we enjoy our work, and we're very happy. And those are the kind of the trivial complaints, but there's also some valid complaints. Oftentimes the fumes from the fire truck enter the building. They can smell our diesel engines. Our department, our building isn't set up properly to capture these fumes, and they are a known cancer-causing agent, and that isn't so funny. So as much as I'm here to advocate for a new fire department and advocate for my firefighters and advocate for public safety, I'm also advocating for the well-being of our town hall employees as well.